Hey, what's going on, everybody? I have Zach Mayfield here today on our creator interviews.
Hello.
Yeah. So we're doing this one virtually because of COVID, and my plan was, Zach, to travel in 2020 all around the world to meet creators like yourself. And
that dream is dead, my friend.
Dead.
It's gone.
There's no coming back for that one. 2021, is the plan. So
yeah,
we'll reschedule.
I'll be here. Hopefully I'll still be alive.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully we all will.
Yeah, then we can actually meet in person, hang out, make some stuff together.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Absolutely. Well, we got some stuff planned, which we'll talk about here. Well, let's kick off by, first, thanks for being on the Gear Focus Creative Interviews.
Of course.
And so happy to have you. And for those who don't know Zach Mayfield, Zach had worked with Dave Mays from Kinotika for how many years was it?
Well, we've been doing stuff on and off together just for fun for the past 2.5 years.
That's what I thought.
Ever since I moved to Nashville.
Yeah, I thought it was a couple times. So Zach's in Nashville, and Zach very recently took over Kinotika because Dave went over to...
Taking over.
Yeah, because Dave went over to Indie Mogul, and he's knocking it out of the park with that, and you're knocking it out of the park with Kinotika. So it was I saw it as a really smooth transition. Obviously, you've been working with them, and you know the channel. So
yeah, it went really well. I was pretty nervous, so basically Dave asked me, hey, do you want my old job? I'm gonna move on to Indie Mogul. And I was like, wait, first of all, you're going to Indie Mogul? That's one of the most legendary YouTube channels in the filmmaking world.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out, and then I was like, oh wait, you want me to be the host of Kinotika? So I was freaking out again. And then basically we just came up with this 2-month strategy of slowly transitioning me into the channel, and then him making that goodbye video basically, where I would now be the new host. And I was pretty nervous, man. I was like, Dave's such a strong personality and such a good host. He's so knowledgeable with cameras. And I feel like I know what I'm talking about for the most part, but I hope these people like me, all the current subscribers.
Yeah, no, they will, man.
But
they know
it went pretty well, yeah.
I mean, they know you, and you're fantastic. You know the gear, and I think that's the biggest part, right? That's what Kinotika is all about. Unbiased gear reviews, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah, I love that aspect of just being upfront if something sucks, and being upfront if something's great. I don't know. I've been thinking about gear reviews a lot, and how it's actually an ethics topic where, you're kind of helping people decide how to spend thousands of dollars.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's huge. And if you mislead somebody, that can be, that's just really shady. So I feel like honesty is super important in the review side of things, because it's easy when you get a product for free to want to say oh, this thing's awesome, this thing's really cool, because it's a toy. It's kind of like Christmas for us gearheads.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to get over that part and still be honest, in a kind way,
Right. Well, let's keep talking about some gear. Clearly, as Gear Focus, we're all about the gear. Yeah, it's that
yes, sir.
Common denominator amongst all us creatives. So now you shoot a lot with Fuji, right?
Yeah, I've transitioned into Fuji in the past few months. When the X-T4 got announced, I was shooting on the GH5 for my personal stuff and small gigs.
Right.
And then I also work with a production company, and we mostly use RED. And I saw the X-T4 come out, and I was like, dude, this looks like it could be a nice middle ground where it's not this super expensive RED camera, but it still has really nice image quality and frame rates, and it's really cheap, $1,700 for this camera. Pretty wild. So I haven't been Fuji fam for a long time, but ever since I've switched, I've really enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah. Well, speaking of RED, I know that we've been talking about a little collaboration.
Yes, sir.
In fact, let's see if we could do something fancy here. In fact,
let's get fancy.
Yeah.
A live unboxing. A live recorded unboxing. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's not going to be an unboxing, but it would be cool if I could, if you had one, I could just hand it over to you and be like,
oh, we could like fake
go.
it like you're handing it through the screen. Dude, that'd be so cool.
So there's the Komodo, and Dan Weinell, who's on the Gear Focus channel a lot, and glad to have him back. He was traveling for a while on some crazy Jeep tour shoots, but we went out and shot with this for the first time last Friday up in PA. And
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it. There
you gotta lift it up.
There we go.
Oh, go a little higher. A little higher. Oh, there it is. Yes.
There's the cube.
Oh my gosh. It's like a 4-inch by 4-inch cube, right? It's
exactly.
So small.
Yeah, it's really small. And you know, the crazy thing is that because this is a pre-release early model, this is the Stormtrooper model. So I went for the Star Wars theme for our first video.
Absolutely.
I have some cheese in there, just a heads up. But I have to grab.
Some cheese in there.
So they didn't have any cages. I had spoke to Wooden Camera. I ordered a, is it 8SINN?
8SINN, I think.
8SINN, they call it. Okay, I was new to their brand.
Very risque.
Yeah, and so this is the GH5 cage.
Okay.
Believe it or not. With a little Dremel action on the bottom of the tripod plate, this camera fits absolutely perfectly.
No way. Is that a Tilta cage or is that the 8SINN one?
This is the Tilta cage for the GH5. Okay. And
that's wild.
Believe it or not, it fits absolutely perfectly.
It doesn't look bad at all.
And
you can use the right side as like a little handle. I
have the wooden handle for it too.
Oh, nice.
In my box. So this is what we shot with, and I had the monitor attachment for the I had just used my iPhone because I didn't have an SDI monitor. All my monitors are HDMI. So but I got the plate. Now I'm just waiting. RED's been fantastic, by the way. I do have to do a shout out to RED. I mean, their support, their interaction on the Komodo official Komodo group, which you can only join if you're an owner of the RED. They're really involved with, they just released another update today with like 2 small changes.
Okay.
So it was beta 1.0, and then there was a major update of 1.2 the day I got the Komodo delivered. The firmware came out. I was like, perfect timing. They planned it just for Gear Focus. Not at all.
We can think that.
We're not that big yet, but we're working hard at it. So that firmware came up, and they just released another one today. I haven't downloaded it yet, but
That's exciting,
overall, it performed fantastic. No overheating issues.
Seriously, man, that has been like the story of 2020.
Yeah,
it's like a global pandemic and cameras overheating.
Now, I did see a post this morning about the R5, R6 firmware update where supposedly, I didn't read a lot on it, but it gives it about 15 more minutes of record time.
Jared Polin has a video testing it, and it does add a little extra time. It still overheats.
Right.
Oh, man, with the R5 and R6, I had so much hope, but I kind of refuse to use a camera that's like has that much risk, especially for people like wedding shooters and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
There's no chance.
I just want stuff to work for the video content that we do here at Gear Focus. Like I'm shooting on the C200 right now, which we were talking about. It's just a phenomenal camera. In fact, I might do some basic comparison testing with the Komodo, just from a raw color science and dynamic range and stuff like that. Clearly, the RED's got a higher dynamic range. We've saw it already. We post on Instagram. Compared to the Blackmagic 6K, and I'm gonna nothing technical here, but I'm gonna say 2 to 4 stops additional dynamic range.
Nice,
easily.
I believe that.
You could really see it in the people and in the shadows of the car that was sitting behind him. So, definitely fantastic. Obviously, you have the RED color science, with the R3D files, and
it's the greatest codec. And I love that codec so
like
much.
Butter, man.
It's crazy. So the production company that I work with, we're called Hometown Crew. That's like what I was doing full time for a few years before transitioning into Kinotika.
Right.
For a good year, we had a Blackmagic Ursa 4.6K G2, so like the newest Ursa.
Right.
And we also had a Red Dragon 6K. And I think I preferred just like the raw image, like the skin of the Blackmagic, but the Red's codec was way easier to work with and had more flexibility and had more dynamic range for sure.
Right.
I loved both a lot because they were just pretty different. So, but man, yeah, that R3D codec, when you're editing that, it's so crazy that it's easier to edit than a mirrorless camera's files.
Yeah.
But they just figured it out. Whatever they have in that sauce.
Yeah.
I need some more.
They need to share it with other camera manufacturers, but
I know, that'd be great
if everything just ran that smooth. But that was the problem. Dan and I did a couple of videos on the Zcam F8, and it's a great camera. And we have to do a shout out to these other brands like Zcam and Blackmagic, and there's a few other ones that pushed companies and brands like RED to come out with a Komodo affordable solution. I mean,
it wouldn't exist without Blackmagic and these smaller companies making great cameras. And a lot of these companies are still in their infancy when it comes to getting cameras to the US and stuff.
Yep.
So like in 10 years, I can't even imagine what we're going to have. All cameras are going to be like the size of an ice cube and shoot 12K.
Shoot 12K. It'd be like one of those, the Lume Cube lights. Those little Lume Cube 2.0s.
But it's a medium format sensor somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, you took over Kinotika. What's the plan now? You had your own channel, clearly, and you still do.
Yeah.
So, are you shifting your focus from your channel? Like, are you reinventing your channel now that you've taken over Kinotika? And what's the plans for both channels?
Yeah. Man, this is a wonderful question that I'm in the middle of, actually, but it's fun.
Putting you on the spot.
Maybe it'll help me figure things out to talk about it with you. You'll be my like YouTube therapist. So obviously Kinotika is now my job, which is crazy, huge blessing, so excited. So I'm doing one video a week with Kinotika, usually on Fridays, unless it's like there's an embargo and I have to release something on a specific day. So that's really nice where I can actually put something together that's in-depth, entertaining, well thought out once a week because I can just put all my attention there. So that's getting most of my effort. And then the rest of my effort is going to my personal channel. And I'm currently trying to figure out exactly how to reinvent it because I don't want to do just gear reviews on both channels because I don't want them to take away from each other. So I've been doing more like documentary style vlog stuff on my channel where I still talk about gear and what I'm doing with Kinotika, but it's just a little bit more raw, a little bit more fun. It's less work for me, but still fun to make.
Right.
So, and I have ideas for short films and stuff too that I would probably put on my personal channel, but then use that footage for gear reviews for Kinotika.
Yeah, that's
like if
smart.
Yeah, so basically my goal is to have them work in tandem where I'm not like splitting my brain to work on both, but just have them exist together.
Right.
So we'll see if it works.
No, I'm sure it will. And that makes sense, I mean, you want to be able to use content in multiple ways, and we do the same thing here at Gear Focus where because I have my first the reason I bought the Komodo was I had my first short film that I'm going to be shooting, and what better way to test a brand new affordable RED camera.
Get it in the field.
Yep. And I'll shoot with some other cameras probably as well too with it. I have the EOS R. I still have the 1DX Mark II. I mean, a fantastic camera.
Oh, nice.
I have the XT3 that I use for a lot of trips. Just run and gun. It's a
I have one of those bad boys right here.
Nice.
The old XT3.
Awesome. See, that one
it's still so good.
We could do the handoff with that one.
We could. Here's a brand new XT3.
Here's a brand new XT. Oh, thanks, Zach. That was awesome of you, man. Nice little thank you present.
What if we figured out how to do like a juggling scene back
there? You go.
Episode 2 with us. That'll be the juggle.
The juggling episode. The juggling creator interview. Oh boy, it's early. I need more coffee.
Yeah, for real. I've been chugging my coffee.
All right, cool. So more vlog style, more loose, fun material for your channel. Still the gear reviews for Kinotika. We had talked about, ever since you took over Kinotika, Dave kind of connected us because we had started working with Dave because we bought him a Canon M50.
We should tell that story. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So Dave got had a lot of gear stolen, and yeah, it was horrible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He is like, it's crazy because he's genuinely like one of the nicest people I know. I'm not just saying that. Like, he's such a kind soul, and the fact that those people stole so much stuff from him blows my mind. And he was so like forgiving about it. And then, you guys sent him an M50 to give him something to create with.
Right. Yeah. And it was one of
which was awesome.
It was one of his favorite cameras, and he hadn't done a video in a while on it. And I know you're working on some more content with that camera too, because it's so amazing, especially for even in 2020. For a lot of creators just starting out because it's so affordable. But we talked about more collaboration. Now that we have the Komodo, we're wanting to produce a lot of content with this camera. And I'm wanting to put it into a lot of creators' hands. I know Alex Schneider, who's been a guest host on the Gear Focus channel for a few videos. He's going to do some work with it. I know that his production crew that he works with full-time in his day gig, they were like, oh, yeah, we're in.
Everybody just like wants to get their little fingers on this camera.
Yeah, exactly. So the plan is to get it in Alex's hands and to get it in your hands as well too. And produce some content with it for your channel or Kinotika channel or whatnot, and collaborate with it because that's always been my goal. I'm not a YouTuber. I mean, God, I don't know how I fell in the role. I try to get.
Hilarious.
That's why I'm glad Dan's back. Because Dan's editing right now our first video on the Komodo. And he's way more technical and knowledgeable about gear than I am because he's worked in the field. I come from a photography background. So
cool.
Yeah. So
I need to meet Dan sometime. He's like this mysterious figure in my mind right now.
I
gotta meet him.
We'll have to do a 3-way.
Yes, my dream. I'll have to ask my girlfriend, but I think she'll be all right with it.
Yeah, my wife wouldn't be cool, I don't think. And his girlfriend wouldn't either. I met her. She's fantastic. She's super cool. She made this awesome looking cheese ball, and I was like driving home from PA. I was driving home from PA, and I was like 20 minutes away or half hour away, and I was like, what the was I thinking? Why did I leave before the cheese ball was done?
You can't leave before the cheese ball comes out.
It looked amazing. It looked absolutely amazing. But we had a great time. Dan is again, same thing you're talking about with Dave. I mean, he's just such a good guy, good-hearted guy. I'm glad that he's really helped out the channel. He's just a team player. And that's what you need.
It's hard to find, man.
It really is.
It's very hard.
And actions speak louder than words. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm a team player. But usually, it's the people who don't say that
that are the team players.
That are the team players, and they just show it.
They just do it.
It's like I played in a reggae band years ago, and the bass player would say, "Be the Missouri license plate," and I was like, "What?" He was like, "The show me state."
That is so funny.
So I'd be like, I totally like I'd say something like, I totally learned this new tune, blah blah, and I'm rocking on it. And he was like, Missouri license plate. Yeah, I was like, okay.
Just show it.
Just show me, man.
I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, I still use that to today. But Dan's a great guy. We'll have to hook up definitely after this COVID crap is over with.
Sounds great.
and do some trips. You know, Dan and I are planning on going to Chicago for a shoot, you know, with the Komodo with some guys out there. This guy Joey Helms, who's fantastic. I talked to him a few days ago, and we just really connected. And he's got a group of Komodo owners out there. So
that's so cool.
Hey, we're gonna have
these little Komodo gangs around the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. And I posted on the group. I was like, anybody in Maryland, right? You know, because I'm based out of Maryland. And I had like, you know, a handful of people, like at least 5, I think more, say that like I'm in DC, I'm in PA, I'm in, you know, Maryland, I'm in this area. And so, you know, my goal this week is to connect with those guys, schedule some calls, and try to figure out something to go shoot with multiple Komodos. You know, you're just trying to get creative, you know, and I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to associate myself with people that are better than me. And I've always done that with whatever creative field I've been in, like music. I always play with people better than me. And
that's so smart.
You know, and like Dan's better than me. He knows more about the RED than I do, you know, and so he's going to be doing a lot of the technical stuff on it, and I'm just going to be along for the ride, you know, and learn enough to be able to get support. And hopefully some of these guys locally will want to be part of the short film. I had a couple people interested and said they want to be a part of the short film. And so that'll be exciting. It'll be a learning experience. And, you know, we're not going to be the best people to talk about the Komodo. We're not going to be, you know, Joey Helms is fantastic. He has amazing footage out there. He's from Chicago. I'm originally from Chicago. So making a trip there and watching his footage, I was just like, I miss Chicago summers so much, man.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool city, you know?
Yeah, it's such a cool, just the architecture and everything. I can't help but think of Batman, like the Dark Knight trilogy when I go there.
One of his latest videos, I think that was the intro. I think it was the one he posted yesterday. He texted me and was like, it's live. He was having troubles exporting the file from Final Cut, I think. And so he finally posted it, and the intro is, I believe it was from Batman. I think it was the Dark Knight. But I was there when they were shooting that. I was working at the Merchandise Mart. I was working at Q101 radio station with Mancow. Do you remember Mancow?
No,
oh my God.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, so Mancow was the radio DJ for Q101 back in the day. And he was really big, but yeah, those were some crazy times of radio, man. Those guys are nuts. But yeah, I was down there for the Dark Knight and saw that and I got on a list. I had actually had my name on a list for extras for the movie, and you know, they just never called me. I think I was just too late though. By the time that I signed up, I think there was just too many people on the list. Yeah,
Chris Nolan missed out, man. You would have been the best extra in town.
Yeah, right. But thank you for flattering me.
Of course. That's my job.
I'm getting it. You know, I mean, God, there's a lot of YouTubers and creators that have channels and influencers, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
We call them creators, hence our creator interviews, that said, you know, God, I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm just starting to feel confident on camera.
It's hard. It's so hard. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get used to like making eye contact with your camera. I remember in the beginning, it was so hard for me to look directly into the lens. Like I would like blink too early.
Right.
And like when you're recording a script, after you finish a sentence, you have to like look at the camera for like an extra second.
Right.
So that you can cut without your face like going all weird or blinking too fast.
Right. Yeah, there's these little things you learn.
Yeah, it's this muscle you develop. It's like a sport in a way where you have to you figure out the mechanics of it.
Right, or trailing sentences off. I've caught myself where I'd be like, okay, so we're taking a look at the Komodo and like you can't cut there, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So unless you want a weird do your talking in chunks where you're trailing off to where it feels natural that it's an end. So, and I've gained so much appreciation to all the creators who have produced this amazing content because it is so much effort. You're preparing, figuring out what you're going to shoot. Then you're setting everything up. Then you're shooting. Then you're editing. then you're posting. Then there's all this work afterwards. Then you got all your social media to post to. Then you got your SEO, whether you're using like TubeBuddy or vidIQ or whatever those tools are to actually show up and have success. And then you have links and you have description. There's so much more involved than people think. People think, this is just a YouTuber. They throw up this camera and they record
just
and they
make a
throw
video.
it out. Yeah, and they throw it out. And that's the good videos, at least, are not like that at all.
You're basically like a solo production team, marketer, creator. Like, you fill so many different roles. But I think it's a really great practice. Even if you don't want to be a full-time YouTuber, I think it's good to try to make some YouTube videos as a filmmaker, just to develop those other skills, like learning how to EQ your mics, like sound design, editing, color grading. It's a great way to just refine filmmaking skills.
Absolutely. I mean, I learned so much about lighting, and I'm still learning about lighting. Right now, I just got the 120D with the grid on it, trying not to spill onto the background. I have the
120D as well.
Nice.
The 120D Mark II with the lantern softbox. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that.
It's so cheap.
Yeah.
They're like $80, but it's super soft. I really like it.
Now, how does that compare to the regular the Light Dome? Yeah, the Light Dome 2. I have the Light Dome.
It's just smaller, but I kind of prefer it in some ways because it has this skirt on the outside. So you can actually really shape the light by just pulling down the skirt and Velcroing it on.
Okay.
So if I wanted one side of my face to be really dramatic, I would just pull the skirt down and it would be really fast. I wouldn't have to pull out an actual physical flag or anything like that.
Right.
It's a great YouTube softbox because it's just quick.
Okay.
And
cut.
Scene.
And scene. All right. So what are your specialties? What do you feel are your biggest passions in the creative industry that you're working in? As far as, it could be anything. It could be gear, it could be filmmaking, it could be vlogging, it could be whatever it is. What are your strengths? Because we want to share with people some tips and advice and just some of your experience to help people out. I mean, we don't know who this video is going to help and what they're really looking for. A lot of these creator interviews, we may have specific topics. For you and I, it's like we're going to start working together. We're talking about the Komodo. We're talking about the new gear of 2020. But what are your passions, as far as, the creative side?
Yeah. If I rewind about like 18 years really quick, where I started, just to give a little context, was making home movies with my parents' really crappy Sony Handycam and their JVC camcorder. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. Look at that. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, so this is the JVC. Dude, this is literally the lightest camera you'll ever hold. It is just a little piece of plastic. And then this is the Sony Handycam, which actually has some digital connections, and it's still a good camera. It still works. It just doesn't. The batteries don't work anymore, so I would have to plug it in. But
is that like
I got started,
is that 720 or is that like 480 or something like that?
I think it's 480. It's 8mm tapes.
That's what I used to shoot.
Has this. So this is a JVC camcorder. It's a compact VHS camera, and then this is my Sony Handycam 8mm tapes. It's the digital 8.
Have you ever done a video with those on your channel?
I haven't done one on my channel, but I have all of my home videos that I shot on this converted to digital. So I have all the footage, which is so sweet, and I use it all the time.
You're doing it. I'm holding you to it. You gotta do a video.
I should review this.
You should.
That's actually a great idea, honestly, because I have so much footage.
But sometimes it is about like we use vintage lenses all the time. I use Canon FD, the 50mm 1.4 with the. I've been using that on the GH5 for years, and it
looks great on the GH5.
It looks amazing. There's just something about that lens, the FD lenses. In fact, Dan was just telling me he's going to pick some up, and I just bought a FD to EF converter so that I could use it on the Komodo. So I want to do some shooting on that. So you pulled out some old vintage gear, so I'm going to pull out.
Oh, what do we got? Oh my gosh, that's cool.
So it's
so wide.
This is a Polaroid Spectra System SE. This was my grandfather's. Here we go.
That's so cool. Does this still work?
There's the. Can you see the red light?
Cool.
Yeah.
It's work. Oh my gosh. Are those rings for a strap?
These are. So
on
this
the back?
This is a handle.
Oh, there's a handle there.
And then on the very button. Back. And so on the very back you have there's a music symbol, right? And then you have a timer, autofocus, flash, and then you even have a remote.
That's so cool, man.
Let's see if I can get the light so people can see it. But so anyway, yeah, it's like these vintage, cameras and stuff. They're just so cool to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to do a video on those. Yeah.
I need to. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out something really creative.
Do a vlog and then show some of your old family footage, and just being able to, get into that in the storytelling of making video that's not about the gear. Just get a solid piece of gear and know it, right? Like, know your gear.
Yes, that's another thing I'm so passionate about is just like, I mean, I had the GH5 for I think over 3 years when I finally sold it. And I knew that camera in and out, like backwards. I knew everything about that camera and how I could get my best images with it.
Right.
And that's something that I've become more passionate about is like, while I started to work in the film industry a little bit, I started to see how slow a lot of things are. There's this one shoot I did. I probably can't mention what it is, but it was a commercial, like a fairly for a well-known company. And I couldn't believe how slow everything was. Because in my head, it was this easy scene, like this really simple thing. Right. And we had an Alexa and a Movi Pro and all these different lights and all these different people around. And I was like, dude, me and my friends could shoot this in like an hour with like a Pocket 4K or a GH5 and make it look almost just as good. Because it ended up on Instagram. I've seen it on Instagram in an ad. And I was like, we shot this on an Alexa? Like, the amount of money that company... That's something that kind of I've been thinking about that's a little scary is like, companies spend so much money on commercials. And yeah, for some stuff it makes sense because you need a really high-end product. I totally get that. There's going to be room for that forever. But some of the stuff that people are paying $20,000 to $50,000 for, I'm like... Dude, we can make this in a couple hours with a small camera and a decent microphone. I don't know. That's something I just think about. I might be wrong about it. I don't really know what I think about it, but it's just interesting to me.
Well, maybe we should collaborate on like a video once we can, like, I either can come down to Nashville or you come up here.
I would love that.
We like produce something like a $25,000 commercial with, a GH5
with $100 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Even an iPhone. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are doing amazing shit with iPhones now, man.
Oh yeah, I just got the DJI OM4 gimbal. I'm gonna grab that really quick.
Yeah.
This thing is unbelievably smooth. And then Moment. Have you heard of the company Moment?
Yeah. I have one of their ND filters.
Yeah, I have one of a filter on here as well. And they sent me their line of phone lenses. And if you use their app, you can shoot in log on your phone.
Whoa.
And it looks pretty good. Whoa. I've tested it. Oh, it's really wild. So their camera app is really good too. And that would be a fun video. Like maybe we shoot the same commercial with something like a GH5 and a phone. Yeah. And just show how you can make good stuff with any budget.
Yeah, like we do a comparison. We could do it with like several cameras. Do the exact same thing. Just run through it and do it with the same cameras. There's a lot of. This is a cool creator interview. We're coming up with a lot of cool ideas to shoot. So.
It's crazy. Yeah, this is just a topic that bounces around in my head a lot now that I'm in the YouTube world, but I've been in the filmmaking world.
Right.
I'm seeing companies releasing more and more ad content that's filmed on iPhones, and it feels more personal.
Right.
If you see ads of somebody like talking about a product for a huge company, but it's a selfie video.
Right.
It's like something feels relatable there. There's some sort of magic there, just like filming on our phones, because I think it has that home video vibe that me and you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because it feels so personal. It feels like you're in this person's world instead of seeing them on this like production stage.
Right.
And like I said, there's a place for both, but it's just interesting. And that's something I'm passionate about, is making the best quality with the most efficiency and small budget as possible. I think that's so cool. It's fun.
Well, like Daniel Schiffer, like he became huge just by producing B-roll. Like,
and he's great at it.
With Sony mirrorless cameras. Yeah, I don't know which model he shoots with, but
he's done it with like some of the really cheap ones too, where he's just holding this puny camera and does these moves. There's no cage or anything. It's just the SD card.
Yeah.
And then you see the footage, you're like, you made that with that? Like,
I know.
I have no excuse.
Like, I did a review of the Peter McKinnon backpack, and I shot, that was like the most effort I spent on B-roll, because I was like, okay, if I'm doing a review on the Peter McKinnon backpack, I have to have some good B-roll. So like I pulled out my Marshall head amp.
Sweet.
And like, I tried to get really creative with it. I had a dolly on the floor. I was laying down, like I was moving stuff around, and I literally spent like 3 days shooting, because it was my first like attempt on real B-roll, and Connor McCaskill did the phenomenal edit of it.
My boy.
And so that's,
I love that dude.
That's a good, let me ask you a question. So your workflow, now are you scripting, shooting, and editing everything yourself, or do you have anybody helping like from an editing standpoint?
I'm riding solo right now.
Okay.
And yeah, I do, for Kinotika, everything is really formatted. So it's pretty much all scripted, because I can't really talk about gear off the cuff and make it really intentional and like informational for people. I have to pre-think it so that I can kind of give more of like a performance on camera, where it's more goofy and fun, but hopefully it's full of knowledgeable topics as well. So that's my goal, is like entertaining and educational all smashed together. But yeah, I'm riding solo right now, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It'd be cool to have an editor someday, but we'll just have to see. Just got to grind it out for a while.
Well, you guys definitely check out Zach Mayfield's channel and Kinotika. Support him, support the channel, definitely, so that he can afford an editor.
Yeah. Also support the comfiest shirts you'll ever wear in your whole life. Thank you for sending me this.
You got it. Sweet.
This is just like, I'm not trying to sell a product right now. This is the comfiest shirt I've ever worn in my life. It is a baby blanket. It's crazy.
Baby blanket. Yeah. We were really happy with those, and we started selling a bunch of them on Gear Focus. People are buying them up now, and we're starting to see people wearing them in Instagram posts, and they're tagging us, and the word is starting to spread, and that's really cool. And so if anybody does that, thank you. Really, I'm really trying to push Gear Focus. We're coming up on 1 year. We launched last October. It's been a learning experience. I have some other partnerships and investors on the way to really bring our new platform with iOS app. We have a lot of plans. We have, I
just really believe in the idea. Like, I genuinely believe in the idea of Gear Focus because of what we've been talking about. I mean, one of like the key business tactics is to like find a gap in a market and fill it.
Yeah.
Not just add to the noise. And you guys figured out that, well, eBay takes a huge chunk of your money. Craigslist is super sketchy. Facebook Marketplace, like sometimes you can find it, but it's built for like this wide variety.
Right.
You guys found a niche, you found a hole in a niche, and now you are the gap being filled. And I don't know, I want it to just continue to grow because it's such a good idea.
It's a work in progress, and as we continue to grow, it'll be more beneficial to everybody, and the more people that use it, the more we'll grow. There's one of those. There's one of those.
We're leaving that one in.
I'm leaving that one in. I have to leave that one in.
It's got to stay in, man. It's relatable. You got to leave the mistakes in
real
sometimes.
Real life here on the Gear Focus Creator Interviews with Zach Mayfield. And speaking of which, and maybe we should end with this. So how long, and I've never asked anybody this before.
Okay.
And then and this question comes from my wife. How long do you think this YouTube era is going to last. Like she says, are we going to look back at this when we're older and be like, do you remember when everybody had their own YouTube channel and everything was about YouTube? And like my kids, like my son, he wants to do Minecraft, green screen Minecraft videos and stuff. And
hey, you said you were going to send that to me. You still have to send that to me.
I didn't send it to you.
I want to see that.
Okay, so
I don't think you sent it to me.
in the ATM mini video. I put the
okay,
clip.
I'll go watch that.
I'll email you the link to that, but watch it because
yes.
he's in there. So how long do you think it's going to last? All right, we're in 2020. It's kind of been going for about 5 years steady, really built up over the past couple years, I would say, and really then another push during COVID because everybody's at home. You know, what's your anticipation of thoughts of the future of like YouTube and?
Yeah, so in the beginning, like a few years ago when I started thinking about that, I would definitely put a ceiling on it and be like, oh, this can't continue to grow, can't continue to do this. But then I think about the population of Earth and how there are so many freaking people, and all it takes is to have, like, you don't even have to have 100,000 subscribers to make a full-time living on YouTube, which is crazy.
Right.
Man, I think that it has a long future. And I think just the way that media and marketing is going, I think COVID kind of proved that YouTube and this form of content is extremely strong, because even when the film industry completely shut down, like YouTubers were seeing their numbers go up in some instances because everyone was at home and enjoying YouTube from home. And I think there's something really beautiful about that, how we can just be entertained by these people in their bedrooms.
Right.
I see this going on for a long time, and maybe YouTube won't be the place forever.
Right.
But I think they are being smart in a way where they've definitely tightened themselves down to be a little bit more corporate, so it can be more ad friendly and stuff. It's not so YouTube like 8 to 10 years ago was the Wild West. Like you could see anything on YouTube with no consequences. And as cool as that kind of was to have that complete freedom, I'm actually totally okay with them bottlenecking it a little bit, making it safer, because I mean there's gonna be less garbage on the internet, and people like me who want to make a living with a small audience, it's possible with longevity. So I mean, if YouTube just stays smart and keeps it somewhat safe here, I think that it's gonna have a long future, honestly. Yeah. And maybe there'll be other platforms that come up, like TikTok and everything. But I think that's great to have multiple avenues.
All right, well, speaking of comments, speaking of YouTube, guys, support Zach's personal channel. We'll leave links in the description below, as well as Kinotika. Show some love. Show us some love here on Gear Focus. Subscribe to us. Leave some comments below if you have any questions for Zach or ideas for content for Zach or for us here at Gear Focus. Zach, it was awesome, man, chatting.
It was great. Thanks for having me be a part of the channel. I'm stoked to get my hands on your Komodo and to eventually meet you in person and make some stuff in person. Here you go.
Well, this will be the shot, and then once I finally send it to you. So here you go. I'm handing it over. There you go. Oh, I gotta lift it a little bit higher.
Photoshop it.
Yeah.
What's his name? Is Dan his name?
Yeah. So I'll give you some of the B-roll. I'll give you some of the B-roll shots, and you can mask it out and then put it in the video.
Perfect.
So we'll give it to your editor to edit.
Yeah, exactly. My editor will take care of it.
He's in the closet.
He's right over there.
Nice. Hey.
All right. Thanks so much, man.
Awesome.
Thank you, Gear Focus fam, for everything. I'm stoked for the future for you guys and for what we can do together. It'll be fun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, cut. Cheers, cut.
Cheers. Boom. Nice, dude. That was awesome.